guys, I have kind of a weird story time for you today. I didn't really think I was going to be sitting down to film another paranormal storytime video anytime soon. This happened to me literally yesterday and I still, my mind is blown. This is probably one of the weirdest things that's ever happened, and I would love to know if anyone else has had a similar experience because I don't know what it is. So I was kind of nervous visiting my dad's house because I've been there a few times and I never felt weird, but he's had a lot of really weird things happen in that house. And he called me and told me about them and asked if I had anything going on. The only paranormal things he's ever admitted to is that occasionally, in whatever house we would live in actually, you would catch a waft of cigarette smoke. And his mother was a chain smoker. She died of lung cancer. You would smell it and there would be this overwhelming sense of calm right after. And it never felt bad, but it happened in every single house we ever lived in, and neither of my parents were closet smokers. My dad was very, very anti-smoking, obviously. And obviously my brother and I were too young to smoke. We were 6 or 7 when all this started happening. But that had always happened, and that was the only paranormal or spiritual or whatever thing he had ever acknowledged. So he gets into this house, and I remember he called me right after he bought it. He told me about the stuff that was going on, and I want to kind of give this his backstory. When I got there, nothing happened, of course, but this happened when he first moved in, and then he had the house blessed and everything kind of stopped. There were just little things like hearing something that shouldn't have been, there was no explanation for a kid laughing upstairs or something. He kept telling me kids were laughing, and for a really long time we had 2 younger girl next door neighbors for a while at that house, and he thought it was them because they love our cats, so they would come over and play all the time, and he thought it had to have been them, but it would always come from upstairs. Seeing things out of the corner of his eye, nothing noteworthy, right? He calls me one night in this blind panic. And he's like, this is the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me, and he had to tell me about it. And essentially what happened was he was downstairs. He heard my brother knocking at his door, and he knew it was my brother because right after he said, "Hey, can I come in?" And my dad said, "Yeah." And then my brother didn't come in. And my dad thought it was kind of weird, so he kind of got up. He didn't know if something was wrong, so he got up. And at the time, my brother and my dad were the only 2 people living in this house. He goes and he answers the door, opens up his bedroom door, and he sees Christian going into the extra room across from him. So the way that the house is, here's my dad's room, here's the extra room, over here is the staircase going up, and that's completely besides the point, but it will come into hand in a minute. So he sees my brother go into this room, and he sees him right as he closes the door. He sees his pants, he told me, and he sees the color of his hair, and it's my brother. And he goes into the room because he thinks this is kind of weird. This room isn't being used for anything except storage at the moment, so he doesn't know what's going on. So he goes into this room, and my brother's nowhere to be found. There's no way to get out of this room unseen. There's a window, but it's hard to open, and if he had gone out and then re-entered the house, there is a security system that beeps. So my dad is just what? He's so lost. Just then, he hears my brother laughing from upstairs. And so he goes up the stairs, and he sees my brother on his Xbox, and he was like, "Why did you come down to my room? How did you even get up here?" And my brother was like, "I have no clue what you're talking about, dude." My brother was so confused, did not know what he was talking about, and he had been upstairs the whole time. And this really startled my dad, because there's paranormal experiences, and then there's stuff you can't explain, right? He called me about this, and he was so freaked out, you guys. He thought he was losing his mind. I was kind of talking to him, and I was like, "Did you guys have the house checked out? Did you have it blessed? Blah, blah." No, because we never really had done that before, which explains why we lived in so many crazy haunted houses. So a few nights later, he calls me back, and he tells me about the next thing that happens in this saga. He and my brother were on the couch, and they heard someone talking outside. Literally sounded like someone talking, there was no responding voice, it was someone talking to themselves. And so my dad goes outside to check it out, and he's taking a butcher knife, he's all armed and prepared to defend himself. And while my brother is inside, I guess what happened was my dad had gone and closed the door behind him. So he went out the back door, right? The front door is across the room. In front of the couch my brother was sitting on watching TV. My brother is looking down at his phone, trying really hard not to think about it, and he looks up. This is just so weird to me because my dad had never told him. He didn't want to scare Christian, my little brother, and so he never told him about the experience he had where he basically saw my brother going into a room. My brother wasn't there at all. He sees my dad doing the exact same thing, walking out the front door. He hears the beeping of the door, and that's why he looks up, because whenever you open a door in this house, it beeps. So he hears the beeping as he opens the door, and he looks up and he's like, "Dad?" And my dad's head is turned towards him, so he doesn't see his face, it's just his head. And my dad leaves the door cracked. And just then, my dad, like literally right after that, walks through the back door. My brother starts losing it, right? Because he just saw my dad walk out the door. They were so scared, like so scared, because this was something they had both experienced. My brother told my dad this. My dad was like, that's too weird to be a coincidence. And this is coming from a man who has never acknowledged the paranormal or the spiritual or anything. He calls someone, he's gonna get the house blessed. And my brother is the next day or the day out, something, down the road. He's kind of exploring in the backyard area, and he literally finds this circle where someone has drawn in the soil, and there's like an animal skull. And he doesn't know, like it was, I don't think it was a pentagram or anything. It was just like someone had drawn like a circle and some shapes in the soil. I know he sent me the photo at one point. I will try really hard to find it, but if it doesn't pop up, I'm sorry. This was so long ago. This was like over a year and a half ago. Since then, nothing had happened after my dad got the place blessed, but my brother finds this, and no one knows what's going on at this point. He doesn't know if this is just sheer coincidence, if like someone is doing some creepy stuff on the property. Like no one knows what's going on. The woman who owned this house before us was so anxious to get out that she left all of her furniture. So all of the stuff that you guys see in the house that I've shown, she decorated the house down to a T. Like there is like custom murals and just beautiful, beautiful furniture all over this house that she left because for some reason she wanted to get out. So we always had a weird feeling, but then we had our former pastor, he doesn't work at the church that we go to anymore, but we had him come, we had him bless the house. He said that something felt weird, but after basically he did that and he went through and did the holy water and stuff, it stopped. And every time that there would be more bumps or something weird would happen, nothing like my brother and my dad seeing each other when they aren't actually there ever happened again. But every time there was like little bumps and creaks and stuff that didn't make sense, the pastor would come back, it would stop, right? So I'm gonna take a break and charge my camera because this is taking longer than I thought it would. But I had been in this house a few times now. I think like 3 or 4 times I've gone to visit my dad at this house and stayed for different periods of time. Sometimes I stayed for a month, sometimes I stayed, like this time I just stayed for a week. But I've never had anything happen, even knowing this, like nothing weird ever happened to me until this past time. I tweeted about this and I posted a video, but the thing is, I don't feel like the audio picked up very well. But essentially what happened was, this was the day before I left to come back. I was woken up by Maka growling at something. Maka's my dog, in case you don't know, and she growls at everything. Especially at night, especially when we're alone. She is on like high alert 24/7. I didn't pay her much mind. I like rolled back over and went back to sleep. And that was when I realized that there was scratching, and I immediately whipped up to like tell her to quit because I assumed she was scratching on something. There was scratching coming inside of one of the walls in my bedroom. And it was from the outside, and even though I'm on like, okay, so technically this house is only 2 stories, but the first story is off the ground. So you have to come upstairs to even get into the house, and pretty high off the ground, and in like a normal house, I think this would probably be closer to a 3rd story. That's like how high I am. And I'm thinking, this is really weird, like there's not a tree nearby, like maybe a squirrel got into something in the house. What is going on here? Like something doesn't feel right. I felt kind of weird because it was really like loud scratching. And I get up and I go investigate it, and like I kind of tap on the wall to see if something will respond, and nothing responds, you know. Then I hear scratching coming from behind me, and I whip around and it's coming from the wall facing the living room. So this isn't a wall facing outside. Then I hear it from the roof. And all the while it's staying constant right next to me at this wall. I'm just like, this is really loud. This is like, it was really weird. And I would have assumed if it was an animal, like the noise or the tapping would have made it stop. But it was just weird how it happened, and then it happened from all sides, you know, like there was something weird. Of course, I guess it can be written off if you want to look at it that way. Something just felt weird, and it's probably just the history of this house that felt kind of strange, you know. But that was really all that happened. At one point I was walking my dog and I thought I saw a shadow in my brother's room, but it was like a fleeting thing, you know, it could have been a trick of the eye, whatever. It was nothing definitive. Nothing else happens, and I leave the next day. I was in a hotel, I had stopped for the night, and I'd had a major case of anxiety the day before. I actually had a full-blown panic attack, like hyperventilating, can't breathe, in front of the poor desk clerk at this hotel. I was having a really bad day. It had nothing to do with paranormal stuff. It was just a bad day. I was stressed. My dog wasn't feeling well. It wasn't good. So I'm at this hotel and I'm feeling so much better. I'm so excited to go to sleep. And when I get in there, the hotel clerk like makes sure to tell me how the AC works, how to turn on the heat and stuff, because it's pretty cold outside. So I get in there and the heat is already roaring, so I don't bother even like lifting up the little flap on the AC. I remember waking up at one point, and again, Mock is hissing and hissing. She's like barking at everything, like growling every 5 minutes, but that's just how she is no matter what. If we were in our own house, she'd be like that. So I kind of don't pay her much mind. At one point I remember waking up to her growling and barking and stuff, and I remember thinking, it is so hot. It was one of those things where my neck was sticky. I didn't feel good. It was like gross hot, you know? And I remember thinking that, but I also remember thinking, I'm so tired. I'm not getting up. And I rolled back over and went to sleep. A few hours later, the next time I wake up, there was this cool breeze on me and I was like, this is so nice. Like, I'm not thinking anything. Like, I'm asleep, obviously. And the next day when I woke up, the room was kind of not chilly, but it was really, really comfortable. And so I look over and the AC flap is up as if somebody was inside of the AC, like doing something to it, and it had been turned down. Now, I had never looked inside, but I know the heat was on because the room was hot and because there was hot air coming out of that AC, but I had never even looked inside it. I'm not someone who sleepwalks. I'm not someone who can do that kind of stuff. And I hadn't even fiddled with it, you know what I mean? Like, I hadn't even looked inside, so I checked and the door is still locked. It's still deadbolted. No one's in this hotel. I thought it was weird, but at the same time I left off, like, that's not harmful, like, whatever. I mean, I don't know if that can be explained away because, again, I don't sleepwalk. I don't do things like that in my sleep, but maybe I did. Who knows, you know? So I didn't think much of it. If it was a ghost, it was a nice, like, kind act, you know what I mean? I was hot. Thanks for turning down the AC, boo. And then I was in my car, and we're driving home, and I'm not thinking about that. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm just driving, listening to my audiobook, blah, blah, blah. Currently listening to Binge by Tyler Oakley for, like, the 3rd time, by the way. And I stopped to get Subway. I take my dog for a walk, and then when I get back in the car, I turn it on, and immediately something's a little bit weird. The radio says, warning, 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 warning. My car had never done that before, but whatever, maybe I bumped something on my way out. So I turn it back over to the aux cord option where I can get my book started before I start driving, and I can get my maps open so I don't have to fiddle with all that on the road. And right as I hit the gas, basically, it goes back to that exact station and it says, warning, 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 warning. And it says, like this, and it's flashing across the screen, and I'm sitting there like, maybe there's something in my car that is making me listen to like this traffic warning or something, like I don't know what's going on. And then it said, warning, traffic alert. But while this is playing, don't stop, or while this is on the screen, on my car screen, this gives me chills. This is the weirdest thing to me. While this is on the screen, Don't Stop Believing by Journey is on, and that song has no significance to me. I love it, but it has no significance, right? And I think that's weird, but it keeps going in and out, and all I can hear is the chorus. And it's not like it was like on repeat or anything, but it kept going in and out, like it was kind of staticky, and the only parts that I was making out at this point was the chorus. I thought it was weird, so I switched it back to my aux cord. Again, it went right back to this channel. The problem with this is that I would try to switch to a different radio station and it would go right back to this one. I would try to switch over from AM to FM or to AM2 or something, and it would keep going back here. Sorry, I was on AM2 when all this was happening. It doesn't immediately go to AM2. And I'm thinking, this has to be like a weird, I didn't think it was anything. I thought it was a weird wiring issue. But I keep thinking, why does it say warning, warning, warning? And just then, a truck comes from behind me, just blazing down the road. Like, going so fast, and when he braked, he came this close to hitting the guy in front of him. I sat there for another minute because like there's honking, like a policeman was at this traffic like 4-way stop, and so he like is pulling this truck over, and I was about to leave. Like, is this what all of this was about? Because for a minute I really did think it was like a car wiring issue. Right after that, I tried to switch back to my aux setting, my auxiliary cord. It let me go. And it didn't go back to that, and it did not do that again the entire drive down. Every time I would restart my car, it didn't do it again. I don't know what that was. And again, maybe it's something that can be explained away, maybe it isn't, but I think that's gonna be all for me. I know this video is already so long. I would love to know what you guys think. I don't know if I have like a pleasant spirit following me who turns on the AC and keeps me from getting hit by trucks, if it's all coincidence. So I hope you guys like this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you've not already, and I'll see you next time in another storytime video.